Folks, welcome back to another episode of Mayhem in the Mid-South. Today we're going to be looking at Memphis murder in Vegas. Folks, the victim in this case today was a special deputy marshal, Stanley Cooper. Now, he was with the Department of Justice, the Marshal Service. Now, he's also known by the title of a court security officer. The marshals use retired police officers to help protect the federal courthouses and the federal judges. And Officer Cooper had about 40 years of law enforcement experience. He had retired from the Las Vegas Police Department, I believe, after about 26 years. And then he'd been working at the courthouse as a special deputy. Part of their duties is they check IDs and screen people through the metal detectors and the x-ray machine. If you've ever been to a federal courthouse, and you've probably seen those officers in the blue jackets and the gray slacks. Well, that's what they're doing, is making that courthouse safe for everyone that comes in. Now, the villain in this case, and he is a scoundrel to say the least. He had been in trouble for pretty well anybody that ever come in contact with him. And his conflicting personality began in 1974 in Memphis when he murdered his brother. Now, you know you're in pretty bad shape now when you got to be killing your own brother. Now, he was sentenced in 1976, was sentenced to 12 to 15 years on second-degree murder. Now, he was paroled in 1981. So that's just about right for Tennessee's Department of Corrections. About 5 years when you take somebody's life, then you can get back out. Yeah, but it didn't end there. At some point he leaves Memphis, Tennessee, and he heads out to California. Now, while he's in Sacramento, California, around 1989, he got accused. I don't know if he got indicted on it or not, but he was accused of assault to commit rape. He served a little time in 1995 for domestic battery. And I almost forgot now, while he was still in Memphis, he was 10 years after he got out for the murder, he got arrested for various and sundry drug charges. Now, what's going to set him off, which evidently just about everything set him off, because he argued and fought with everyone he came in contact with. Well, now, he filed a discrimination claim against Social Security in 2008. Now, he said he was denied full benefits because of his race. Now, a federal judge listened to the case, and he ruled against the suspect. Now, for whatever reason, he must have stewed about it, because he doesn't do anything until January of 2010. Now, at about 5 a.m. on January 4th, his apartment caught on fire at 571 North 30th Street in Las Vegas. Now, not saying he did it, but authorities think there's a strong possibility he set his own place on fire. Now, somewhere around 5:45 or 6 a.m., now after his place had caught on fire, he had disappeared. Now, resource material is kind of conflicted in regards to how our suspect got from his burning residence down to the federal building. Some of it says he bought a bus ticket. Other resource material says he walked. Now that distance is about 3 miles or so, give or take, because the Lloyd D. George Federal Courthouse is at 333 Las Vegas Boulevard South. Now I get the feeling he probably walked, and the reason I think that is because besides wearing his dark shoes and his dark pants and a dark shirt and a looked like a skull cap, he had on a dark jacket. It was a trench coat, and he had to have a trench coat on because he was carrying a Mossberg Model 500 shotgun, 12 gauge pump shotgun. And from the pictures I saw, it doesn't look like the barrel was sawed off. Now that's a pretty long barrel on that gun, so you'd need a long coat on to cover it while you're walking. And I don't know if he'd have got on the bus, if the driver or somebody wouldn't notice that, and we'd have had an issue before he got to the federal building. It's about 8 a.m. when he gets to the federal building. Now people are lined up as they usually are. They got their belongings and they're waiting to go through the metal detector and get their items scanned by the x-ray machine. And they've got at least 2 court security officers down there, the blue jacketed officers. Now our suspect, he walks inside the building and he got up near what I'd refer to as the screening station, which that simply means where the x-ray machine and the walk-through metal detector are. And he pulled his shotgun out from underneath his trench coat and he cranked off not sure how many rounds. Most of the resource material seems to indicate he fired about 3 rounds. Now when he fired through the walk-through metal detector in the direction of Officer Cooper. Now when the suspect had walked in, Officer Cooper was sitting in a chair near the metal detector because he was checking IDs. And the other officer up there was using the x-ray machine. Now according to the resource material, the surveillance footage shows that when the suspect raised the shotgun up, Officer Cooper saw it and he started to get out of his chair, and then he was struck and he fell over to his right onto the floor. Now at this particular time, I do not believe court security officers were wearing Kevlar vests. Now I don't know if this is the event that changed that or not, but it probably was, because after this, court security officers are wearing Kevlar. Officer Cooper is down. He never even got a chance to draw his weapon. Just think, he had been with Las Vegas Police Department, risen to the rank of sergeant, and he gets hit in the chest with a 12 gauge. I don't know what kind of rounds the suspect was firing, but whatever it was at that range, he was going to be dead just the same. Now after firing these 3 rounds, for whatever reason, and I get the feeling it may have had something to do with the other court security officers that were down there, but suspect retreats back out of the lobby and he's standing near the doorway. They've got glass, that whole entryway is glass, revolving doors I believe, and some double glass doors. Still holding that shotgun. Now the court security officers, they start opening up on him. At least 2 court security officers started shooting inside the lobby at the suspect. Now more court security officers and then some U.S. Marshals, they get down there to the scene. So now you've got several officers firing. Now their gunfire drives the gunman away from the building, which is the whole idea for having court security officers. Protect the occupants of the building, protect the federal judges. Now their gunfire pushes the gunman away from the building, and he heads back down the steps of the courthouse, and he crosses the street. Now across the street is the old historic 5th Street School. At that particular time it was being used as an office building. Now they've got some shrubbery and bushes there out front, and that's where he ended up taking up position. So now you got more court security officers, and you got more U.S. Marshals, and they're all piling out of the building, and they're all cranking off rounds at the suspect because he's steadily firing back. Now one of the U.S. Marshals, after he'd fired several rounds, he gets hit with pellets, torso, the arm, the hand, and the head. Now he goes down. Not fatally, but he's down. Now the whole time the officers are firing, suspects firing, and eventually he's hit several times. One round struck him in the head, and that was the fatal shot. Now they transport the marshal that was struck with the pellets, and they transported Officer Cooper to the hospital. Now Officer Cooper, he's dead, and he was probably dead before they ever got him out of that building, but him being a special deputy marshal, retired Las Vegas officer, they're going to transport him to the hospital one way or the other. Now the deputy marshal that was wounded, he had surgery and he survived. And all this over Social Security. Now I don't know what the suspect, how he was earning money, but whatever it was, it evidently to him wasn't enough because he was denied full benefits. So I don't know what exactly he was getting from the government. But whatever he was getting and wasn't getting, I just don't know if going up into a building and just firing your shotgun off, I just don't know if that's the way to handle things. And you took an officer's life and kids and grandkids, and for what? Selfish individual, this suspect, just thinking of himself. Sad story. Doesn't need to be that way. I don't know why people are what they are sometimes. When they think they got to take somebody else's life. I don't understand that. You might at the federal government, well, Officer Cooper didn't do nothing to you, so why in the world would you go in there and do such a thing?